Hey, today's breaking story, it's so controversial, even Phil Mickelson has chipped in with an opinion because last night Senator Chuck Schumer, well, he raised the stakes on the voter ID debate in a fiery speech before the Senate. Now, as you may know, this is a bill Republicans reintroduced this year. The House voted on the SAVE Act just days after President Trump issued an executive order to promote election integrity entitled Preserving and protecting the integrity of the American elections. Anyway, the order calls for reforms to root out illegal voting and fraud, including requiring proof of U.S. citizenship for the National Male Voter Registration Form and ensuring that states have access to federal data to verify citizenship. Of course, it is infinitely more complicated than that. So before we show you Senator Schumer's anvil drop on the floor of the Senate just last night, let's take a quick look at the complex backstory of this controversial bill that has, putters and pundits posting all night.
Thursday, the U.S. House passed a bill called the SAVE Act, short for Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. It would require documentary proof of U.S. citizenship for anyone registering to vote in federal elections.
On this vote, the yeas are 220, the nays are 208. The bill is passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Republicans say it's about preventing non-citizens from voting.
In the SAVE Act, we can ensure that only eligible Americans are registering to vote. Additionally, the SAVE Act is aligned with President Trump's recent executive order, preserving and protecting the integrity of American elections, which will help restore trust in American elections, enhance election administration, and make our elections secure. This legislation is just one step that we can take to ensure President Trump's executive order could not be undone. Americans deserve to have confidence in our elections.
Passed the SAVE Act today, as you know, and that ensures that you got to have identification. You have to prove your identity because only U.S. citizens should vote and decide U.S. elections. It's already in federal law, but there's no mechanism currently to ensure that that law is always followed, and this measure, the SAVE Act, will help make sure that is true.
Democrats and voting rights groups say it could disenfranchise millions, especially people who are already legally registered.
What exactly would the SAVE Act do? It would create enormous burdens for every American citizen who seeks to register to vote. Let's dig into the details. As my Republican colleague and friend admitted at the Rules Committee, under the SAVE Act, most Americans would be unable to register to vote using their real ID. Further, under the SAVE Act, almost 70 million American women will be unable to register to vote using their birth certificate simply because they changed their name upon marriage. The bill would disenfranchise survivors of domestic abuse who have changed their names for safety purposes, which is truly shocking. And the SAVE Act will also have a steep financial cost to American citizens because, yes, the SAVE Act does allow Americans to use their passports to register to vote. But half of all Americans do not have a passport. And a passport costs $130 plus additional fees. So the SAVE Act will cost American voters who do not have passports and choose to use them billions of dollars to secure them.
Why it's controversial? Here's the thing. It's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. Doing so can lead to felony charges and even deportation. And when it does happen, it's rare, and often by mistake. But the SAVE Act goes further. It would reject all voter registration applications that don't include one of these documents: a U.S. passport, a birth certificate with a government photo ID, a military ID showing the birthplace, or a real ID license that clearly indicates citizenship, which most don't. Who gets affected? Republicans say current registered voters won't be affected unless they move, change their name, or re-register. That's when the new rules kick in. Voting rights groups argue that millions of Americans don't have quick access to a passport or birth certificate, especially the elderly, rural voters, and women whose names change after marriage. Even worse, most real ID-compliant licenses don't show your birthplace or confirm citizenship, meaning even legal voters may be turned away. The politics behind it. This bill was a top priority for Donald Trump and House Republicans heading into the 2024 election. They say even one illegal vote undermines confidence in democracy. Democrats say this bill is a solution in search of a problem, and it will block thousands more from voting than it prevents from voting illegally. Take Michigan. Out of 5.7 million ballots in 2024, only 15 possible non-citizen votes were flagged. That's 0.0002%. The bill now heads to the Senate, where it faces an uphill battle. Republicans don't have the votes to overcome a Democratic filibuster, but the debate over voting and citizenship is far from over.
Yeah, far from over indeed. But last night on the Senate floor, well, the game may have changed dramatically because there are many aspects to the SAVE Act, particularly if you dig past Democrats want illegal immigrants to vote. I mean, that's nice branding, but it's dangerously, deceptively simple. For example, if you're a woman who's changed her name or you don't have a passport, it ultimately raises more opportunities for an authoritarian-bent government to call the shots on Election Day. And this is what Senator Chuck Schumer had to say about that last night.
They don't understand the sacredness of elections and keeping them fair. The kind of legislation, the kind of executive orders, which are so jaundiced, so slanted on the side of one party, are the antithesis of democracy. On the one side, Donald Trump recently issued an executive order that will coerce states to prevent millions of Americans from voting. On the other, Republicans in Congress are pushing the SAVE Act, one of the most destructive, dangerous voter suppression bills in recent memory. It is very reminiscent of Jim Crow. That's what Republicans want to do. They want to not only restore Jim Crow in the South, they want to have Jim Crow spread from one end of this country to the other. It will not happen. It will not happen. Let me be clear. I will not let this noxious bill, the SAVE Act, become law. Every Senate Democrat, every single one of us is united against it. They need 60 votes. The SAVE Act is dead on arrival. I'd like to say it louder so my friends in the House and in the right wing over here can hear. The SAVE Act is dead on arrival.
That won't fly well in the right wing now, and it certainly didn't score with the right winger that they call lefty, Phil Mickelson, who posted this last night. How is this fighting for Americans? How is letting non-citizens vote in American elections a good thing? It is not. He is not representing America, its citizens, nor their best interests. He is a traitor. Now, it's unclear if he sent it from the Phil Mickelson Villa at Trump National Doral, Miami.
Built 10 villas, all magnificent, and we named them after the greatest players in the history of golf. It's Phil Mickelson, and it's been very exciting. 1, 2, 3.